Republicans really won't pass anything on immigration through Congress. How did that happen? Why did George W. Bush lose this fight in his own party to such impressive effect? Joining us now is Nicolle Wallace, former communications director for the George W. Bush administration, senior advisor to the McCain-Palin campaign. She's now a co-host of The View. Nicolle, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Do you dispute my premise?
No, but let me tell you a couple things that are different. President Obama controlled, obviously, the White House, the Senate, and the House. And he could have done this with the Congress when his party controlled all three branches.
Yes, but the Republicans did filibuster in the Senate.
But the Republicans also did vote for a Senate bill. There is a Senate bill with bipartisan support. And the House should have taken it up. House Republicans should have taken it up and done. They supported a more piecemeal approach, which I'm not a fan of. But
he said he would be happy to do the piecemeal approach. Then they never brought up one of those.
And they should have. Yeah. Listen, I'm out of step with the current Republican Party. I still stand with the president I worked for. I worked on that speech, that address to the nation on immigration. And I remember we had a hard time getting network time, too. I think we actually moved it around a little bit to work with some football games. So I want to say that we were probably a little more flexible with the networks, and that's why we got the airtime. But what we pushed had the support of Senator Ted Kennedy and, at the time, Senator McCain. And so there was bipartisan support for what George W. Bush was doing. There was also public support for it. I think we had over 60% of the public behind comprehensive immigration reform, which is the only immigration reform that works. You cannot ignore the fact that there are, we use the number 11.2 million people. There are actually some estimates that put it at about 17 million people who are either here illegally, or vast numbers of people are here with expired visas.
Sure.
So they're just working illegally. And anyone in our party that suggests that we got to lock up the borders first, it's illogical. It's illogical. It's nonsensical.
Why didn't he win that fight? I mean,
he didn't win the fight for what you just aired.
Was it talk radio? Was it the heritage actions?
Talk radio's power isn't derived in a booth. Talk radio's power is because the millions of people that listen are convinced of the argument. So there are a lot of people who are still either unconvinced that this problem is, I mean, 17 million people is a lot of people. That's not like Texas's problem or California's problem. That is coast to coast. Yeah. Illegal immigration is everywhere. And after 9/11, I believe there was a moment where you could combine the fact that this is, we basically have an unrepresented class of people living in our country, going to our schools, working in our neighborhoods. George W. Bush, as a former Texas governor, understood that these were illegal immigration wasn't someone else's problem. These were our neighbors. And Jeb Bush has a very interesting approach and philosophy on this because he's trying to exist and survive in this modern Republican Party, but he understands that illegal immigration, he called it an act of love, and he got, a world of you-know-what for saying that.
And then he wrote a book saying, no, we need to be hardline on the issue, and his book tour was about how we
listen, if you can't survive the politics of your party, you can't lead and govern.
But you can't be allowed, as a Republican right now who's going to run for president, to be a squish on this issue. The Republican House had every opportunity to do this any way they wanted, including working on even just parts of a bill that got 14 Republican senators to do it. They never brought it up. They never got close to it. They were never going to bring it up. People who were saying, oh, this ruins the chance for John Boehner to move ahead, like John Boehner was going to move ahead, please. It was never going to happen.
Listen, I mean, President Obama is the one that said for 6 years that he didn't have the authority to do exactly what he did tonight.
You don't think he acted beyond his authority?
Listen, don't pit me against Obama. I'm pitting Obama against Obama.
Well, that's
and what he no longer gets to be is our constitutional law professor.
No, that's the way. Hold on. No, what he was saying, people would say change the law, and he said I can't change the law. And so he gave the speech tonight. He said it very clear. This is not citizenship. I'm not doing amnesty. Reagan did amnesty. I'm not doing Reagan. I'm not doing. It's not citizenship.
And
it's
nothing that he did tonight. I'm not offended, and the Republican Party shouldn't be offended by an attempt to keep families together. Yeah. The Republican Party cannot be against. These are nuclear families. These are moms and dads of American-born kids. We cannot stake out a position where we're against keeping nuclear families together. No one is for that. But I think that a majority of Americans oppose what he did tonight. A majority of Americans oppose using executive action to change immigration laws. And Democrats, Senator Manchin...
The reason is because the Republicans are telling him that this is some unprecedented thing where Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, and to a lesser extent, George W. Bush, all took executive action on the way you enforce existing immigration law. The Republicans have made people against it because they've told them this is tyranny, this is an emperor.
We're suddenly powerful enough to make... Obama said this is tyranny, I'm not an emperor.
He said it would be if he changed the law, and then he took action that didn't change the law.
Listen, the bottom line is he didn't do anything. I think these people are deserving deserving of legislation. I think these are moms and dads of kids that go to our schools, that live in our towns, and I think that they are deserving of legislation. And I hope that the Republicans call his bluff and pass comprehensive immigration reform. And I'm, call me another, class of dreamers. Like, I hope they someday will. But George W. Bush won 44% of the Hispanic vote in 2004. McCain won about 26, and at the time he was for comprehensive. He I think has evolved on the issue and isn't as enthusiastic.
Well, yeah, that he said he'd vote against his own bill.
So the Republican party is on the wrong track on this. Yeah. And Mercy Schlapp, who was one of President Bush's advisors on this, I talked to her on my way over here. I said, where do we go from here? She said, Republicans really need to govern and legislate and get this done and lead on this issue. And I think she's absolutely right. And I hope we see a robust debate in the presidential contest. I hope Jeb Bush doubles down as someone who understands that the act of illegal immigration, while illegal, is motivated by love, is motivated by this long-held American dream for a better life. And until we get our heads around why people come here and why they want to stay here, I think we are in a very tough spot politically with a very important part of the country. And
the fact that the Republican Party can't evolve on that, despite that argument, I think, is an unexplained thing in American politics, which is, I think it's unexplained.
But listen, I think if President Obama thought the politics were clear-cut, he would have done this 3 weeks ago.
No, I think he knew what he was going to do. I think vulnerable Democrats said, don't do it.
3 weeks ago?
Because he was afraid, because they were like, oh, it might save Mark Pryor. Because they're always worried about their bottom line and never about what they might achieve if they do something that inspires people. So that's a Democratic sickness.
On both houses.
I mean, Democrats are wrong on strategy. Republicans are wrong on substance. I know which one I'd rather take to the gates of St. Peter.
Well, listen, I work for the guy that was right on both. I mean, I think George W. Bush was right on the policy, and he was right on the politics, and he failed. So I think we have to get back to a place where we have leaders who are strong enough to stand up to the loudest voices in their own party, which on our side is talk radio, who will never be where our party needs to go on this issue, ever.
Nicolle Wallace, I like talking with you about everything. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on the View thing. I thought it was super weird, but you're sort of making it work.